All right, welcome to week number 3 of your Ag Science 305 course. Now, in this week, we're going to shift from the idea of SAE planning, which was last week, into actually the records that a student does. And one of the resources that kids always invest in an SAE project is time. So in this week, we're going to focus on some examples of how a student might spend time in their SAE. And then there is a structure that their time really should relate to. So hopefully in this week, you'll understand more about the time aspect of an SAE, and then really some examples of where they may place their time. Time can be really done in any way, but there is a format that we want to try to follow. So let's take a look at this week. This week you also have not only the content to review that I'm going to talk about, but you have a homework activity like we have every week. There is no discussion, so we'll go ahead and focus on those two things, the content and the homework. Let's take a look. All right, so in this week, I have a listed area here for you called AFNR and Ag Education. And really the first thing that I have linked is the FFA Council. Now the council, again, we've talked about it several times, but they have at the very bottom what's called AFNR documents. Now AFNR stands for Agricultural, Food, and Natural Resources. These are all content standards that are pretty common. So I can pull up one of these. That agribusiness is the one I pull up, so we'll pull it up right quick, and it will involve areas that relate to, again, as you would imagine, agribusiness. Now these PDFs are actually pretty big, so they're slow to pull up, so we'll try to take a look at them. But each of these gives you some information into what the content standards are all about. This first level of all content standards is, if you will, kind of a large area, like in this case, apply management planning principles on AF&R business. And then ABS 0101 is kind of the first level that talks about micro and macroeconomic principles. And then if you go through each of these, it has the details of what that might represent. So in the area of management and planning techniques, micro and macroeconomics is one. The next is O2, read, interpret, and evaluate statements. And then again, the details are listed here. And then O3 is apply management skills to organize and run an AF&R business in an efficient, legal, and ethical manner. And then once again, these are the details below. Now the levels of A, B, and C are really just more and more definitions. So as you move through here, when a student is making records, really the idea of applying to management in a AF&R business is an area, but it's too vague. We really need to get down into these micro and macroeconomic. Are we talking about read and evaluate statements? Are we talking about apply management skills to run in a business? And so these details are where we want to get. So this lower level here is really one of the most important parts. Every area of AFNR has these. So what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to start with the cluster content standards. Now these are cluster skills. They are very general terms. Let's see if it'll pull it up fast. These are very general concepts that overreach all areas of AFNR, and so they are basically things very broad, like analyze trends and technologies. That's research, examining, discuss research, and examining issues, examining technologies that are used, examining public policy. So those are overreaching areas. So as you go to this page, I want you to start right here with cluster skills and work your way through these. You need to be familiar with these areas called AFNR and the details that go along with those. All right, so back to here, that's the first thing I would like you to do and review each. Now the next area I'd like you to review is those same concepts, but connected to more practical applications of SAE. So for example, I chose agribusiness earlier. If I choose agribusiness here, this is about that agribusiness content standard in an SAE. So if I move through this, this is an overview of what the agribusiness area is all about. Agribusinesses provide products or services, so I go into details with some pictures. Summaries of skills or things that you might do, and then how do they connect to an SAE. So each of those are examples of how a student might take an SAE and relate it to agribusiness and what that's about. And then there are some examples, and so these examples help give us some clarity of a SAE project and what it might be about. So the idea is that each of these areas here that we talked about related to AF&R, in other words, the content standards here, those are specific activities, and then these areas that I've listed for you in links are examples of how it would connect to an SAE. So then that leads me to the homework. So reviewing these two sets of resources, both in pathways, but this related to strictly ag and food and natural resource content standards, and then this related to SAE, will bring you to your homework. So in your homework, what I want you to do is pull up this document. I've already built for you a template. So in your homework, you are going to be using this template to basically look at an activity like purchase supplies to build a barbecue pit, student relates to plan and sell, and hopefully make money to keep the project within budget. So I need you to identify an SAE type. So for example, this SAE I would call entrepreneurship. They're trying to make money. So it's an entrepreneurship SAE project. And then the next is area of interest. So I want you to connect it to one of the areas of interest, and then I want you to go to that area and go one level deep, that detailed level, and retype that here. You may want to actually copy and paste it from the electronic resources. But get that in here, save this, add your name to the top so that it's your work, and then save it to the online system so that I can take a look at that. All right, so welcome to week 3. Your information is listed here. Pretty simple week. Make sure to go through all of the resources I have provided for you here, which is this website, and each area of AF&R. Then go into these simple examples about an SAE and AF&R, and you want to have both those resources together so that you can go through here and go through my examples and list that on the page I provided. Remember, save that with your name and then upload to eCampus to be graded by Friday. Thanks and have a great week.